All right, we're marching through the crossover season and into spring here in Farmville. Busy end of February and beginning to March that we have to get to. We have 9 teams to catch you up on between our full episode and digital specials, changes within the department, and a former student athlete and current Longwood employee who has stood out for what he's done after his playing days. Lots to get to, so let's not wait. Let's go right now. Longwood Baseball is not our lead story today, though a former baseball player is. A 4-year starter on the baseball team and a captain in his senior year, former Lancer second baseman CJ Roth has been busy since his playing days. He's worked his way around a few athletic departments, and before finding his way back to Farmville as Longwood assistant sports performance coach, he's a guy who now keeps Longwood athletes strong, pumped up, and ready to go. Hashtag Strongwood, hashtag Lancer Strong. The biggest thing, though, that Roth has done for athletes, it hasn't been for what he has done for Longwood athletes, but for the athletes of the Special Olympics in a powerlifting competition held back in February. Roth joined our own Justin Mitchell in studio to talk about the Lancer Invitational.
What is the Lancer Invitational?
So the Lancer Invitational is a powerlifting meet for Special Olympic athletes, encompassing the squat, bench, and deadlift. We hold it on our campus in the Eiler weight room once a year, and it is basically just an opportunity for the athletes to get out and start competing. It's kind of the first meet of the season for them, so just get everybody's feet wet and have a good time.
That's awesome. Where did you come up with this event?
Actually, this event started, my boss, Rick Canner, brought it to me when I took the position here at Longwood and said that someone was interested in starting an event like this. So we sat down, met about it, and decided it was a great opportunity. So last year was our first year, and it was a success, so we wanted to build off it again this year.
Explain some of the volunteer efforts and your role specifically in the event.
Sure. So volunteers, we actually, every year now we've had an outpouring of support. We've had everything from student athletes from all across campus, whether it be, we had a lot of support from the tennis teams, basketball, as well as soccer, field hockey, but also students in exercise science, TR. We even had some business students helping us out. A lot of people really love working with this population, and it's always great to see. As far as my role, what goes, was just to oversee everything, coordinate, whether it was registration, volunteers, lifters themselves, and once I got the day going, kind of broke it down to some of our other people who are helping lead the program. And from there, it just kind of went on, and I got to take a step back and really take everything in.
Yeah. Final question for you. What was your most memorable moment of this event?
That's a tough one. It was a really, really fun event, but just to see the outpouring of support, not only from volunteers, but from the athletes themselves. Some of our athletes came from Northern Virginia. We had a couple local athletes, but it didn't matter where they were from, what area they were representing. They would finish the lift and they're all cheering for each other, high-fiving each other, high-fiving the fans. It just brought a lot of smiles to a lot of faces, and I think that was probably just the most memorable aspect, was just the entire event and the support that we saw from it.
A couple of baseball guys coming together for that last piece. Thanks again to Justin and CJ. Again, February's Lancer Invitational was the second annual meet put together by Roth with 16 participants and more than 100 volunteers and spectators. Safe to say it was a strong success. Well, men's basketball certainly saved its best for last, playing their hearts out in the Big South tournament, playing as the number 10 seed. The tournament began on the road at number 7 High Point, a team who the Lancers lost to by 19.5 points per game in the regular season. In the first round game, the Lancers led by as many as 18 points on the way to a 68-55 victory to earn their way to Asheville for the quarterfinal of the Big South tournament. Well, in that quarterfinal, the Lancers took on number 2 Radford. Led by 15 points each from the 2 seniors, Chuck Glover and BK Ash, the Lancers made more baskets than Radford, outshot Radford 43% to 35% from the field, and out-rebounded Radford 34-30, but the Highlanders outlasted Longwood 59-53. After perhaps outplaying Radford, the Lancers and the rest of the conference watched as Radford won the whole thing and made its way into the NCAA tournament. It was a strong end to the season for Longwood, but the season's end comes with a move at the top. Head coach Jason G and Longwood have parted ways after 5 seasons. G had 1 year remaining on his contract but stepped down, resigning following the end of the season. In 5 seasons under G, Longwood compiled a record of 42-120, 19-69 in Big South play. One of the big highlights under G was Longwood's win at TCU of the Big 12 in his first season, the first win for the program against a Power 5 team. Longwood Athletics Director Troy Austin has begun the process of searching for a new coach, but will not comment on the coaching search until a decision is made. In a similar fashion to the men's basketball team, women's basketball played its best basketball toward the end of the season, winning 4 of its final 7 regular season games. Senior Day was a dream finish for fourth-year Lancers Autumn Childress and Michaela Ellis, who each finished their careers inside Willett Hall with double-doubles. Childress went for 24 points and 15 rebounds, while Ellis had 15 points and 11 assists to lead the way to a 90-60 victory for the Lancers against Winthrop. Then came the Big South Tournament first-round game against Charleston Southern. Longwood trailed for most of the game, down by 25 points with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then nearly pulled off a comeback for the ages. 22 points and 15 rebounds for Childress, plus double-figure scoring games for freshmen Q King and Stephanie Gihan. That helped Longwood cut the deficit all the way down to 7, but the clock ran out on Longwood, reading 72-62 Charleston Southern. Childress finished her career with 13 double-doubles this year, setting a new single-season record in the Division I era. Ellis had 4 assists in her final game, and Longwood's first 3-time captain in the Division I era also set the D1 assist record at Longwood with 357 assists in her career. Like with men's basketball, women's basketball will have a new coach next season. After his 8th year as head coach and 15 years with Longwood as a head coach for the women's team and assistant coach with both men's and women's basketball programs, Reinson and the department have mutually agreed to part ways. Reinson concludes his tenure as head coach with a 58-177 record, 28-86 in Big South play, and led his team to the Big South Championship game in 2012-2013, Longwood's first year in the Big South. As with the search for a new men's coach, Longwood AD Troy Austin will not publicly comment on the coaching search for a new women's coach until the search is complete. The baseball team is just about set for the start of conference action, coming off of a winning weekend against Iona as the Lancers begin conference play. The starting pitching for Longwood in the weekend series this past weekend was fantastic as Stephen Farkas struck out a career-high 12 batters in 6 scoreless innings in the Friday night game. Then in the Saturday games, Cody Boydston tossed a complete game with 2 runs allowed in the first game of a doubleheader, and Michael Catlin tossed 6 innings of 1-run ball before Tommy Green closed the door with 3 shutout innings for his 2nd save of the season as the Lancers swept a doubleheader to win the series. For the starting pitching that weekend, the series was great. The starters averaged 7 innings pitched, 1 run allowed, and 7 strikeouts. That's exactly what Longwood head coach Ryan Mao wants to see out of the starting rotation. Baseball begins conference play at home against High Point March the 16th through the 18th with the Saturday game on radio. You can listen to the call on 92.9 WVHL, Kickin' Country. Well, softball is also at home and also begins conference play the weekend of March 17th. The Lancers enter the weekend off of a 3-game winning streak to end a 10-game stretch in Hawaii, playing a couple of tournaments during spring break. The Lancers went 6-4 in the 10 games, including a 6-4 win against number 15 California, and the Lancers enter conference play at 12-8 overall. The softball team has a good mix of pitching and offense. In the circle, the Lancers boast junior pitcher Sydney Gay, who has 1 Big South Pitcher of the Week award under her belt, and freshman Sydney Backstrom, the 2-time Big South Freshman of the Week. Gay has a 2.03 ERA, and Backstrom is rocking a 1.76 ERA, or well past 50 innings into the season. Then offensively, Jessica Smith, Jordan Clark, Kaylin Baden, and Krista Kelly are each hitting better than 300 on the year. Clark, a junior, already has 6 home runs, more than the team lead of 5 from last year set by Glenn Walters, who was a junior in 2017. Softball opens the conference slate at home against Radford with a doubleheader on March 17th that begins at 2 p.m. with Game 1 on ESPN3. Before we wrap up, just want to say a personal thank you to both of Longwood's now former basketball head coaches. In my 3 years here, both Jason G. and Bill Reinson have been class acts, allowing us access inside of their programs. Especially for Coach G, who has opened up the vulnerable moments from his life in many ways, documenting his son Brandon's battle with his mental health. Then with Coach Reinson allowing our staff and athletics and the students within the comm studies department behind the scenes, yes, even to those 6 a.m. practices. We appreciate the work and dedication both men and their staffs poured into Longwood Athletics. Well, that'll do for this episode of Lancer Central. To stay up to date for all the news, updates, and features you can handle, keep it locked to longwoodlancers.com. Watch for Longwood Athletics on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and listen to our minute update, the Longwood Athletics Sports Flash, weekdays at 5:20 on Farmville 92.9 Kickin' Country. Well, that's our show. Thank you for joining us for another edition of Lancer Central. For Autumn, Christian, Justin, and our entire Lancer Central crew, I'm Darius Thigpen, thanking you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.